All right. I think we're live.
Welcome back. We're wrapping up another week of baseball, of fantasy baseball. Hopefully your teams are all doing well. You're taking home the W or W's this week, getting plenty of stats. We obviously had some big happenings this week. We had a huge debut. We had some guys maybe showing signs of life. We'll see. And maybe we had a potential blockbuster trade in a fantasy league. We'll get to that in a second, but let's start with the big debut, the one we've all been waiting for. I guess one of many that we've all been waiting for. Paul Skenes finally made his first start this week, and the Pirates are like, here, go ahead, just face the Cubs. No big deal. Your first start ever. Go face the Cubs. But he did all right. I mean, 4 innings pitched. He did strike out 7 batters. He did give up 3 earned runs, 6 hits, and walked 2, including a home run. But he was, of course, throwing gas. So, first start, how are you feeling? What were you encouraged by? What are you not encouraged by? Or are you just all in on Paul Skenes now?
Well, it shouldn't be surprising that they let him go 4 innings only. And he gave up a couple runs. But if you look at it, again, box scores even can be deceiving because if you watch the game, the difference is, the bullpen failed not only the Pirates but him because some of those runs were inherited runs that scored. One of their bullpen arms, whose guy, honestly, I'm not even that familiar with, Kyle Nicholas. He's a rookie, I guess, too, but did not exactly help him out there. But whatever. I mean, it happens. That's just the game. So, they're going to be careful with him. I mean, he was getting stretched out in the minors. So finally getting, going a little longer, but they're not going to keep him out there for like 100 plus pitches on a regular basis. They're going to be smart, which is good. This is what you want. We should be very encouraged because he did exactly what we were hoping for. He struck out a lot of batters. I mean, 7 is good, but in just 4 innings, pretty good. And here's the good/bad is, he's throwing heat. He's going to be the hardest throwing pitcher in the game. Isn't that also a little scary considering what's happened to all the hardest throwing pitchers in the game right now? It's like you almost want to say this is, I don't even want to say it, but put on it, but, something bad waiting to happen because how often can you throw that hard before your arm is like, look, you're not supposed to be doing this. This is not natural. I mean, I get it. He's a big guy, right? He can throw hard, but man, you just figure they've got to be careful with him. So I'm glad to see that they didn't, put him out there too long. But I mean, from a fantasy standpoint, you've got to be happy to see that he was getting those punch outs. He did not look overmatched. He did not look scared at all. Didn't think he would be. This is kind of what I expected. So just always have to be realistic with your expectations. He's not going to go out there and pitch 7-8 innings. He's not going to, necessarily dominate every time he's on the mound, but it was a pretty tough matchup there with the Cubs. Remember, they got Bellinger back. They got Suzuki back. It's a pretty good offense. He did as well as I think you could hope for, honestly.
Yeah, definitely a tough matchup there against the Cubs, but I think you got to be encouraged. You got to be encouraged. First start ever. Pretty much gave us everything we wanted to see. Now let's talk about some guys that had definitely been struggling, but are maybe turning it around. Starting with Corbin Carroll. Obviously, April was terrible. Hit 188 in April. Had what? What did he have here? He had 1 home run, 3 doubles. I mean, his OPS was 509. He's getting a little hotter here in May. He's up to a whopping 225 in May. So there you go. That's not bad. He does have a home run. But he hasn't, let's see what I got. But he hasn't stolen a base yet in May. So he did at least steal 6 in April. So is this the start of something for Carroll? Or is this just more like, oh, thank God it's not horrendous anymore?
Yeah, at this point, you just take anything you can get, right? The guy who was like a top 5 in a lot of circles, top first round, most leagues, fantasy pick. And it's funny, you said that it's like, at least he was stealing bases. That's all he was doing was just, okay, well, at least he had a few steals. And then he stopped doing that. And his batting average got below 200. which is never good because we're already over a month and a couple weeks into the season. Like it's time, right? It's not early anymore. So one thing they talked about, he said specifically, is he's working to kind of flatten out his swing because he wasn't, this is not a power hitter. In fact, his home run total last year was a little bit surprisingly high. This is a speed guy who can hit really well, but I don't think anybody realistically thought he would go for 25 home runs last year. So I figured that might take a dip, but he has shown no power, like zero power, right? 2 home runs, just barely. And like you said, not even extra base hits. So the problem has been launch angle here. He talked about working on the swing and getting that launch angle right because his pop-up rate was like an absurd 21% or something. I'm not sure what it is right now. I guess I could look that up, but that's the worst thing you can do. For those who don't know, besides striking out, basically making zero contact with the ball, the next worst thing is if you're going to make contact with the ball, the worst thing you can do is pop it up because that's as easy of an out as you can get. And that's what he was doing. He was just getting under it. He is this fast guy. So if you can get on the ground, at least you have a chance to leg it out, right? Get an infield hit, force the defense to make an error, do something. But when you pop it up, you might as well just head straight back to the dugout. So I don't think he's figured that out completely yet because you look before today, he put up another couple of offers. 0 for 4, 0 for 4, 4 for 4, 4 days in a row. And then finally today, a couple of hits, including a double. So I can't say that like one game means, oh, that's it, he's back. But I think he will figure it out. I mean, there's certain players that you just want to ride it out. You just kind of have to ride it out. I don't think he's necessarily earned that, he's been good for years. Well, he hasn't. He's been good for 1 year because he's been in the majors for 1 year. But still, I think the talent is there. I think at least it's encouraging. But look, I would say with a guy like this, just ride it out and see if he can figure it out.
All right, that makes sense. Now, what about a future Hall of Famer? Not a young guy, an oldie but Goldie. Paul Goldschmidt has been horrible this year. Ask me how I know. He's on my bench every week, today he showed some sign. Well, I will say, okay, he was 1 for 5 yesterday, which feels like an absolute, explosion for him the way he's been going. Because it's like this guy went how many straight games? This guy went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight games without a hit. 0 for 7 straight games. 1 for 5 feels like an absolute miracle. But then today, all right, well, here we go. Right? Today, 2 for 5 with a home run. Now, of course, okay. If you have Goldschmidt and he's been giving you nothing for a week straight, basically, is this enough for you to put him back in your lineup tomorrow? Or are you like, well, let me see it again?
Well, I will say Goldschmidt, obviously very different from Corbin Carroll just talked about. He has been doing it for years and years and years and years. And that almost makes it trickier because with Carroll, or, a guy like Julio or one of these young studs, you're like, okay, come on, they're too talented. They're just, figuring things out. With Goldschmidt, then you have to wonder, someone like that, it's like, maybe that's it. Maybe he finally reached the cliff and it's time that, he's going off it and he's taking me with him. Like, is that what's happening? So it's like, on the one hand, you're like, okay, he's going to figure it out. But then you wonder, maybe there's nothing to figure out. But I will say with Goldschmidt, there's no reason to think that he would have hit the cliff when last year he was good. He did get off to kind of a slow start as well. I think this is, again, more of a organizational issue. The Cardinals are just bad. They're a bad offense. They're a bad team. How many of their hitters are struggling this year? All of them. All of them. It's all of them. Name me a Cardinals hitter who you feel like has lived up to expectations or surpassed them. Like, nobody on that offense is good. So, sometimes it's infectious, right? Just like a team gets hot, everybody gets hot. Random guys off the bench come up and they have a 2-hit game. It goes the other way too. When a team is slumping, it can, even the guys like Goldschmidt can get affected. So Like, I don't know that they'll turn it around completely, but I do think he will figure it out. Am I putting him in my lineup tomorrow? I think I would, because you know how this is, right? When you're cold, you're cold. When you're hot, you're hot. Not saying one game will make him hot, but at least it wasn't just like a lucky single. Like, it was a home run. It was a couple of hits. This is a player that I think, just like when a player figures it out, when they get right, it can continue to build. So I know it's frustrating, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
All right. Maybe I'll chance it tomorrow. We'll see. Well, I got some good options at first base, so I don't know. We'll see. Now, you did briefly mention Julio Rodriguez. And before we get to the blockbuster trade, let's talk about Julio. He had a terrible April. I think anybody who drafted Julio Rodriguez knows this. He hit 267. He had a slugging percentage of 317. He only had 3 extra base hits the entire month, 1 home run, and he struck out. Am I reading this right? He struck out 35 times in the month of April alone. So he's up there just whiffing, right? Just whiffing. Well, guess what? It hasn't gotten better in May. In fact, it's gotten worse somehow. He's now, in May, he's batting 220 with a 244 slugging percentage. He has 1 extra base hit, 10 strikeouts in 41 at-bats in May. But he homered today. Yes, believe it or not. I know. You probably think I made that up, but he really did. He homered today. He actually hit a home run. Has he done anything else? Let's see. No, he's 1 for 2 with a home run. So, is he back? Or is this just, everybody hits a home run now and then?
I mean, you have to say he is facing the Oakland A's. All right, so there's that. But look, Julio, I said this. I've talked about all these guys on either the Panic video or, in some cases, actually with Goldie, I probably should have just put it on the Panic video, right? People are dropping him left and right and getting rid of him. I put him on the buy low video, so that tells you already what I kind of just said about him. I think you take a chance on this guy. You bench him, fine. I understand benching. With Julio, if you can get a good return for him, I'm okay with that. If you feel like you don't want to take a chance that maybe he is going to have a rough go of it rest of the year. I'm not saying that all of these guys, like, you just blindly hold no matter what the rest of the season. Oh, he was my first round pick, I have to hold him. No, because that's sunk cost fallacy. You're like, you have to move on from that. Like, what is he doing? But personally, I will say I feel better about Julio than Carroll, because Julio has now done it for a couple of years. But the one thing with Julio is, this, last year it was really all about the second half. It was August and September. The first half of the year, he was good, not great. It was that second half that really propelled him to stardom. So maybe he's a second half guy. Maybe we overestimated him based on second half, a strong finish last year. It's tough to say, but I will say I'm willing to find out. And we'll see. I hope he's good the rest of the way.
Yes, so you do mention that second half, and we did make that blockbuster trade in Requiem for a Dream, saying keeps trying to steal J-Rod from his own. He had the slow start last year too, but he's incredible in second half. Now, I admittedly know very little about fantasy baseball. This is my first year playing fantasy baseball. And yes, Julio does have 9 steals, which at least that has been nice. But when I was looking at Julio Rodriguez last year, because I kept hearing this, he's a slow starter. Don't worry, he's a slow starter. Last year, March, his OPS was an evil number, 3 6s. Not good. April, 749. Not good. May, 755. Not good. June, 621. Really not good. July, 825. Okay, not bad. 50 hitters, by the way, I looked. 50 hitters last year had at least an 800 OPS. So, I mean, okay, you're just inside the top 50 of the best hitters in baseball. Not bad. Then in August, he had this incredible 1.198 OPS. Like Barry Bonds-esque, right? Barry Bonds on steroids type OPS. And then he went back to 792. Then he went back to 792. So was he really a second half guy, or did he just have one incredible month last year and he's being propped up too high? I guess we're going to find out because I traded them finally to you for Jazz Chisholm, which I could not believe you traded away your boy Jazz and Josh Lowe. So let us know in the chat who won or lost that trade. You taking the Julio side or Chisholm and Josh Lowe? Who you got? Who you got last season? We'll see.
Yeah. I actually said, because you asked, you like, okay, I'm done. I just want Julio off my team, but I want good hitters. I need hitters, obviously. Not going to take him for nothing. So I said, hey, let me know who you want, just not Tatis. And what did I say? Maybe not Bryce Harper, like straight up, but because then I would need a first baseman. I have no first baseman. And I almost said, or maybe not Jazz, but I didn't say it. And then it was like, okay, there you go. 2 for 1. You got 2 good outfielders. You get some quantity there. Hey, you drafted Josh Lowe, so you're getting him back. So I feel like that's fair.
So let us know in the comments which side are you taking, Julio or Chisholm and Josh Lowe. Let us know. All right. Enough about our trades and our fantasy teams. We're here for you. We're here to help you out. But really quick, do have to remind you once again. Oh, let's get that off. How do I get that off there? Hold on. All right. If you haven't tried Underdog Fantasy, why not? Right now, for new players, new signups, if you sign up using promo code Endgame, you can see it scrolling down there. You're going to get a special pick, so you're going to get a free pick, and you're going to get up to $250 in bonus cash. That's money you can use right away to go make picks, MLB picks. And as you can see, there are still games to go today, and of course, there are games every day that you can make picks on. So if you haven't tried it out yet, it's a ton of fun. They have every sport on there, as you can see. They also have drafts going on right now for fantasy football. If you're, maybe like me, your fantasy baseball team sucks, and you're like, okay, I just want to focus on football now. I've had enough. Then you can go do some football drafts. So go check it out, underdogfantasy.com. Sign up using our promo code Endgame. Get that special pick plus up to $250 in bonus cash. All right. As usual, we're going to get to as many comments as we can. It's Mother's Day, so I'm not sure. So, by the way, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Not sure if it's going to be busy, it's going to be slow. Who knows? But we'll do what we can. If you don't want to wait off, or if you don't want to wait, you want to get your question to the top, or you just want to say thanks, you can always drop a super chat of any amount, and we will answer that first. But let's get to the first question here. DJ Andre. All right, pick up Carpenter, DeJong, Julian, or Rosario in a head-to-head category league.
All right, Andre. Rosario really has shown nothing that he showed that he needs to be picked up or considered. DeJong, nah, I'm not even paying attention to those guys. I'm going Julian here. He has power. He's actually stolen a couple of bases too, here and there. Batting average, maybe not so much. I think Carpenter will help you better in terms of batting average straight up. But Julian, probably a little bit better for your categories overall and on a weekly basis. Until that Tigers offense really actually picks it up. Still a little leery on Carpenter. I liked Carpenter. I also liked Parker Meadows. So, yeah. Man, what's up with the Tigers? I'll go Julian here.
All right, go Julian. Requiem for a Dream is hurting bad at first base with slumping Bush and Berger. Does he hold them or drop one or both of them and pick up someone like Santana, Connor Joe, Josh Bell, or Connor?
Well, man, it's something. You look at Santana, all of a sudden he's picking up lately. Also with Berger, I mean, he's been gone, for weeks. He just came back off the IL, so I think he'll be fine. Bush, yes, is slumping, but you know how this goes, right? Ups and the downs. He was super hot to start the season, and then ice cold for the last couple of weeks. He did just homer a couple of days ago. I think he'll pick it up again. It evens out. So I'm holding Bush. I'm probably just holding Berger too. I mean, is Carlos Santana really going to produce better than Berger going forward? I doubt it. So I'll just hold for the time being.
All right. There you go. Chris, what's up? I like that name. Thoughts on Toro Hernandez at second base as a fill-in until Grissom heats up? I actually was looking at him too, potentially.
Yeah, Grissom, not quite there yet, but remember, he missed so much time basically since the spring. He was hurt. And then, he's got very limited experience. He's just starting out in Boston. I think he will pick it up eventually. It's just going to take longer. That hamstring, unfortunately, setting him back this year. So, yeah, I get putting somebody else in his place. I think Toro is solid. You can roll with Toro. I did pick him up in a couple of leagues. Um, there might be somebody else available that's a little bit better. Massey has been pretty good lately for the Royals. Maybe a little bit more upside, but I think Toro is fine. So yeah, I think until Grissom really starts to pick it up, you can go with Toro. I will say I'm a little interested in Davis Schneider now because he's getting a little bit hot, and they moved him up to leadoff the other day. I don't know where he batted today, but obviously the Barger thing didn't work out. Martinez now is banged up. He's not coming up yet. So, yeah, Davis Schneider does still qualify at second. He may not be somebody to stream this week.
Yeah, I was looking at him too as well. Man, I just have so many. I have Varsho. I have Springer. It's like, do I really want another Blue Jay? Really?
Right now you don't, but eventually you might.
All right, and then Tristram, thank you so much dropping the super chat just because we were awesome. Appreciate it. You are also awesome. And I do see some people here. Chris says, yep, you robbed me. J-Rod all day. Requiem for a Dream says Pierre celebrating his victory with that trade. We'll see. But hey, XR Jr. says he'll take the Jazz and low side. So at least it wasn't a complete lopsided victory for you.
No, I mean, look, it's right now we're both winners until we see any different, right? we're both happy until either.
I mean, if Jazz just
snaps out of it or doesn't.
Yeah,
you're just happy to have him off your team, aren't you?
Yes, although he did get another hit. Apparently, he almost hit another home run inches away. So maybe. Or maybe, you know what? Maybe it's just like his way of saying, hey, sorry for being so terrible all year, Chris. Let me give you one good game before I go. All right, Tristram with the super chat and also with the question. Should he hang on to Nolan Schanuel? I don't know, in a keeper league. He's got Goldie, Riley, Candelario, and it's got, what is CI? What is CI?
Corner
infield. Is that corner infield as a starting spot? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's like having slot wide receiver as a starting slot in fantasy football or something, right? Like, okay. All right.
Kinda. It's like a flex, like a very specific flex, right?
Yeah, very specific. Okay.
I don't feel like Shanuel's like a must keep kind of guy. I mean, we know power is never going to be his thing. I mean, people are saying, look, he's like the next Mark Grace. I think that's honestly like his ceiling, his absolute ceiling, which even if he gets to it, would be a couple years away. I don't think he's a must keep, but at the same time, you got Candelario. Look, I thought Candelario was a great value in drafts. I was happy to grab him in a couple of leagues, and now I'm happy to drop him in a couple of leagues because he's done nothing, and that Reds offense has been disappointing. So I guess if you're choosing, I think keep him over Candelario. But I don't think he's like a must-hold in general.
All right. Here you go. Thank you, Tristram, as always. James Coffey in a Roto Redraft League. Your thoughts on the best pitcher rest of the season between Grayson Rodriguez, Justin Steele, Yusei Kikuchi, Gavin Stone, or Zach Eflin?
I'm sticking with Grayson. I mean, we're forgetting about him because he's on the IL. He should be back pretty soon. I think I'm still going Grayson. Then if you're talking about order here, I do like Stone. Just talked about Stone, but it remains to be seen if he's really going to stay in that rotation long term, right? Because they're getting Buehler back, they're getting Miller back. So I'll go Grayson first pretty easily. I think we'll probably just put Steele number 2. Eflin has been disappointing, but he hasn't been bad, right? I think he's just disappointing because I expected too much out of him. So I guess I'll put him third. And yeah, I am not trusting Kikuchi. Sorry. Not falling for it. Nope, not doing it. He's lost.
All right. There you go. Moonrock drop Eloy Jimenez, I guess, over Kepler.
Yeah, I'm picking up Kepler. I mean, Eloy's got that power, and maybe at some point, he'll binge, but Kepler's been hot. I think what I'll do with this, I'll treat it this way. Right now, yes, I do this. And then as soon as Kepler cools, I might just do the opposite. I might drop Kepler and pick up Eloy before he starts to have a hot streak, because Kepler is a player who is prone to streakiness. He's also prone to injury. Minnesota is just on fire, right? They're just on fire. At some point, it will stop. So Kepler now, and then as soon as you see the signs of a turnaround either way, just do the opposite.
All right. Yeah, that's one thing I'm learning. I'm learning a lot about fantasy baseball this year, obviously. But one thing I'm learning is like these guys, it's like they get hot and then they get cold, and then it's like, okay, move on to the next guy. Move on to the next guy. Like I'm starting to wonder, is it time to move off Luis Garcia Jr.? Like, is his hot streak over? Is he done?
Probably. I mean, look, it happens, right? Sometimes a player will break out. You're like, oh, this is it. It's a breakout season. It is very rare. Most times, what guys do is they'll break out for a couple of weeks, and then that's it, right? Is Luis Garcia Jr. somebody who went from barely, having a starting job this year to like, okay, this is it. He's going to hit 300, this season and have 25 home runs, and like probably not. So it's always really deceiving when you look at a guy's season totals. Those numbers did not come in a linear fashion at all. And some players are more streaky than others, but for the most part, I mean, you look at the splits month to month, it's always like this. It's always like this. You have to pick not only your starters, but your waiver claims. You have to always constantly pay attention, because guys trend up and down constantly. I mean, that's who winds up winning in fantasy baseball. It's either you wind up getting the absolute stud players, like basically if you drafted Ronald Acuna Jr. last year, yeah, you won. But besides having those true stud players, it's just paying attention. Who actually pays attention the most? Who makes those waiver claims? I've seen so many leagues go down to the end where the final month, there's like 4 or 5 teams kind of clustered near the top. And the team that made the smartest moves toward the last couple of weeks, that's who won. That was what the difference was,
All right. Something I've noticed, but I don't pay enough attention to know who's hot and who's not until it's too late, usually. Teddy J. Someone dropped Evan Carter. Is he worth a pickup? He's got Judge, Schwarber, Riley Green, and Adele. And plus, he wanted to contribute. So thank you, Teddy. Appreciate the super chat, of course. But Evan Carter's out there on the waiver wire. Must add? Kind of add? How do you feel about it?
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Teddy. Appreciate it. It's funny because we talked about our trade in our league, the Endgame league. We do have an Endgame league with some of y'all. And I was just looking at it, and I looked at the main page. I think somebody dropped Evan Carter in our league.
Yep.
So that got me thinking: do I put a claim? I will admit, as somebody who was a big Evan Carter fan preseason on a draft day, I didn't immediately tell myself yes. I didn't go out there and say, okay, who can I drop? So I'm still on the fence about it. And this is a 12-team, typical 5x5 roto league. And I get why he's dropped, because not only has he not really done much this year, but now he's kind of banged up. They did just add Robbie Grossman, so that way they can get a little bit more pop, not just against left-handers, but maybe just a veteran presence, maybe somebody who just won't hurt them. Maybe someone who'll just give them quality at bats. So now you got to wonder, are they starting to worry about Evan Carter? So I will say, if you have Judge, Schwarber, Riley Green, and Adele, are you going to play Evan Carter over any of those guys? No. So you don't need Evan Carter. Is he worth a pickup? I would say right now, only if you can drop somebody that's really meaningless to you, somebody that you're never really playing. I mean, this is kind of just a speculative stash at this point.
All right, there you go. Thank you for that again. All right, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but I know the Cowher season ranks calculated on Yahoo. I know for football, they're bad. But I'm sure it's the same for baseball. But
Well, I do know, I can't say no, but I'm pretty sure they are adjusted for league settings because I'll have a league like our league, we use quality starts. And then I go to another league that has different categories or maybe uses wins, and the rankings are different. So yes, they do adjust for league settings. I know that, pretty sure that that's what happens. How they figured out, I don't know. They have everything weighted, I would assume, by category. I would assume they weight each category equally. So like there's one league I'm in, which is a very deep league, and it has like 10 different pitching categories, and it has holds as one of them, and saves, and so relief pitchers are weighted more just because that's how the commissioner likes it. And relief pitchers are ranked much higher than a lot of other pitchers and a lot of other players. So yes, it does. I know it definitely does adjust for league settings.
all right, Tim, what's your take on Christian Javier?
Well, my immediate take is I'm glad I didn't have him anywhere in my lineup after his last start. He did just miss a chunk of time, so I think his last start we can just chalk up to that. Like just not right, just not, maybe a little rusty, whatever. I mean, he should be better. Now, obviously, we should be a little concerned based on how he's done lately. And by lately, I mean even last season. A lot of unevenness, a lot of letdown after his breakout season. So I'll just say this. I did not draft Javier anywhere. So yeah, if you have him, I would definitely be worried. But at the same time, what can you do right now? I mean, he's got to be better. I think he will get better. The question is, how good is he eventually going to be? I don't know. I never really fully bought into Javier as like a mid-tier starter. So, yeah, my take is not a fan in fantasy.
All right, there you go. Probably not what you wanted to hear. All right, DJ Andre again. Is Soler worth holding? He's thinking about dropping him to pick up Fetty.
Generally worth holding, but also, man, this offense is just so. Is it mid? Right? Is that still a thing? Do the kids still say mid?
I think so.
It's mid. That's what it is. It's just there, and he's gonna give you some home runs, but just not a lot else. So yeah, man, if he was in a different situation, I'd feel differently. But to pick up a pitcher like Fetty, who again, coming off a bad start where he was cruising before then, I'm not too worried about it. I would do this. I would rather have a starting pitcher who can help me out.
All right, there you go. And Mr. Awaken just wants to apologize in advance for the cold streaks that I guess are coming up because he picked up Castellanos, Cruz, and Arozarena. So I guess we should just be looking forward to some, or not looking forward to some cold streaks. Is that what he's saying here?
Well, I mean, those guys are sorry to advance for cold streaks. Well, these guys can't get any colder, can they? Castellanos is picking it up. It's happening. Arozarena just had a big game. Cruz, I slowly sort of starting to pick it up. But are you telling me that all three of these guys were dropped? Like all three of these guys were dropped?
Hey, they've been bad. I'd rage drop them. Although I would. Can you drop a Arozarena? Like I couldn't drop Julio. Like I was like, can I just drop this guy? It wouldn't let me. Like the app, like legit would not let me.
You tried, man. At least I'm glad I took him off your hands. So you give him to somebody else in our league.
I wouldn't really drop him. I know better than that, but I'm like, why is this guy on the can't cut list? This guy, like, I picked up guys off the waiver wire that are better than this guy. Why is this guy not allowed to be on the waiver? Speaking of Julio, Tim has Julio. He also has Lindor, who, by the way, I also have Lindor. Tim, I feel your pain. He's been mostly terrible as well. And Bregman, who I don't have, but he's also been mostly terrible. What does he do with him? Well, Julio is now 2 for 3 with a home run today, so maybe he's coming around. But what about Lindor and Bregman?
Lindor will be fine. He's also, I know you're probably so sick of hearing this, but he's a slow starter. He'll be fine. Bregman, I don't know. I know everybody wants to write him off. Like people have been trying to write him off for years, and like he somehow winds up with good stats, but I don't know. This year just feels a little different, and statistically, you can see it is different with him. I do think he's losing a little bit of his pop, right? The power just doesn't seem to quite be there anymore, and it's not like he's even that old, right? With Goldschmidt, we're like, man, he's 36. I think Bregman like just turned 30. He shouldn't, but I do wonder with him if he's losing a little bit of pop. So I'm going to try to sell based on name value with Bregman, but I'll hold the first two.
All right, then Charles, interesting question because you did just trade Jazz. Should he trade Jazz? Am I missing something? Is Jazz bad? Did I trade for a bad player? I thought he's been good.
He's well, I mean, he hasn't quite, again, lived up to our expectations yet, but he's picking it up a little lately. Again, this old Marlins team, coming into this season, like just imagine how you feel knowing that your team did absolutely nothing to help out the roster, meaning completely absent in free agency. Like, okay, we don't care to do anything to make this team win. Okay, fine. And then all your good pitchers get hurt. And then a couple of your hitters get hurt. And then they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, your manager's not coming back next year. So you have a lame duck manager. So their motivation going into the season was probably pretty low. But I think there's like the acceptance phase, right? You're like, okay, well, it is what it is. Like, we're just going to have to go out and play and at least give some props to Skip because he's playing the guys who seem to want to play, right? There's apparently some players who just are out there cashing a check and going through the motions. Obviously, Garcia. And he's trying to get this team to do something. And Jazz is got to be a leader, right? He's got to be the leader. So I don't know if I'm going to trade away Jazz. I think we're still going to see the best yet to come with Jazz.
All right. I sure hope so. All right. Yes. It's time for our weekly Gleyber Torres question. We've handled most of our weekly player questions, but we haven't gotten to Gleyber Torres until now. Still holding on to him in a 12-team head-to-head league, or is he droppable?
I guess the question now at this point is, am I still holding out hope? Like, he's been very consistent. It's funny because not just me, but Ariel Cohen, who writes for Fangraphs and has a podcast. He's probably one of the fantasy analysts I respect the most. He considered Gleyber Torres statistically one of the most safe plays because of the way he performs. He's got all these formulations. He's kind of sucked. If you want to drop him, I'm not going to tell you not to drop him. I do think he'll get better, but like when is that going to happen? So he's also not the kind of player who I feel will all of a sudden go crazy like in a month, have like a Julio Rodriguez kind of month where he hits like 12 home runs. So I think if you drop him, I mean, nobody's running out to pick him up. I think you could probably scoop him up later if you need to. So yeah, if you got other needs, sometimes you just got to do it. It's got to move on.
All right, Godly Pinhead, what's up? How do we feel about Severino? I'm starting him today, but I wasn't going to start him today because he's facing the Braves. Not fun. But I'm pretty much I've already won. Let me see. I've already won quality starts and strikeouts, and I'm losing ERA and WHIP. So I'm like, well, maybe he can go out there and throw a no and get my ERA and WHIP down, and I can win those. And if he gets lit up, it doesn't matter. I've already lost ERA and WHIP, so what does it matter? But if he doesn't throw a no-hitter today, seems unlikely, and he does get lit up, is he droppable? And would you prefer him over?
No, I don't know why you would. I mean, he's been good all season. I mean, I know his last start wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. I mean, it wasn't like Christian Javier kind of start. I mean, he was just not great, but he's been good all season. And I just talked about him, I feel like last week for some reason. But his first start as a Met, first start of the season, right, was not, what we wanted. It was, again, not terrible. It was just okay. And then ever since then, he's been pretty dominant. So, No, look, he might have a bad start today because he's playing the Braves. That doesn't mean you go out and drop him, because guess what? Next time, he's not going to play the Braves. Like, he'll see them again, but you don't drop a guy after one bad start. He's one of those players I'm keeping.
All right. There you go. Keep him. We'll keep him together. All right, Mark Hollister. Should I trade Muncy, Rooker, Bailey Ober, and Nick Ladola? Oh, I already know what you're saying. I already know the answer to this. For Ronald Acuna, Logan Webb, and Ryan Weathers.
You're going to get... I want to see proof. You're going to do this. I want to see proof. Show me that you can get Ronald Acuna and anything else, like Logan Webb, for those four guys. This feels like almost like a trick question. Yes, but I want to see the proof.
When I know the answer, I know the answer before even Pierre does, then you know you have to do it.
Yes, like I want the proof, visual proof. Come back on here, post a screenshot. Let's see this happen.
I don't know how you can do that, but do it. Figure out a way. All right, Tim. Again. I know the answer. Well, maybe I don't know the answer to this one. Somebody dropped a Rosarena. Are you emptying the wallet? All $100.
I hate to empty the wallet because I like to have something left for the second half of the season. I'll go $89. I mean, if somebody bids up all 100 of their dollars, okay. I mean, chances to get them anyways. Okay, but yeah, I'm gonna pretty much empty 90% of the wallet. Yes.
All right.
This is 90%. Somebody's gonna regret dropping Randy Arozarena.
Probably. All right, Steven Matthews. Do we have any idea when Mayo's getting the call?
I mean, I can't say I know when, but this one, you got to figure it can't be too much longer, because here's the thing. The Orioles, we keep saying, like, they're so stacked, right? Where these guys going to play. But Mayo, there's a very obvious, logical landing spot, and it's at third base. There's his home position, because Urias is not cutting it. Mateo is not the solution there. There's a home just waiting for him. So it should be any day now. Is it going to be any day now? I'm not so sure. But this really has cleared up because, at first we thought, okay, well, they got Holiday as a shortstop, and then Westbrook at second, and Henderson's at third. There's no room for him. But Henderson is home at shortstop. And then you've got Holiday now. They just made a second baseman, but of course Holiday's not up. And then Westbrook can move around and shift around, or they can just DH him the way he's been hitting. Mayo can very easily just slide into third base. So when, I don't know. I'm not even going to pretend that I know when it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's another week or two at the latest.
All right. Tyler Durden, what's up? Keeper league question. William Contreras for Andy Pajas. He would get 3 years of Pajas, and this is his last year of keeping Contreras. And he's a rebuilder, not a contender.
That is very interesting. Okay, so last year keeping Contreras, 3 years of Pajas. So that on paper that looks like it's very logical, right? It makes sense. I still think I almost feel like you could get a little bit more. The way Contreras is hitting for a contender, I mean, there's got to be something. Now, of course, it would have to be a contender that needs a catcher. So, but I almost wonder if you could at least get another piece there, maybe a young pitcher. Because again, Contreras hasn't just been one of the best offensive catchers in the league. He's been one of the best hitters in the majors so far. Pajas has been good. He is slowing down a little bit. I would see if they can, if whoever you're dealing him to, who is a contender, who wants a catcher, can throw in another young pitcher, a prospect, and I don't mean, like Paul Skenes, right? I mean somebody who's got some potential. So see if you can get a little bit more. But if you're asking, like, this is the only deal I could do straight up, I think I might hold out for a little bit more. I feel like you could get more for Contreras.
All right. Always good to try to get more. I mean, look, the thing is, if the guy is, whoever your league mate is, willing to do this deal, he'd probably still be willing to do this deal in a week or two, right? So
yep.
Yeah, try
Exactly.
to see if you can get more. All right, Poopy Head. Why? Why that name? Like, why you literally should? All right, Duran worth keeping. Is he worth keeping, considering he may not get as many save opportunities?
I don't know why he wouldn't get many save opportunities. I think he's one of the best closers in the game, and Twins are one of the winningest teams right now. So yeah, I'm keeping Duran absolutely. I mean, unless there's something going on I don't know about, but last I checked, Duran was a stud, and yeah, I definitely want him on my team. I mean, look, some other pitchers will get saves from time to time. And I had like the other day saying like, okay, he was used not in the ninth inning. It'll happen, right? It'll happen, but he's still going to wind up with a fair amount of saves. He's not the only closer who has been used in a non-save situation before. So, yeah, keep him.
All right, bye with Burdell. He's in a deep league with 35 minimum innings pitched per week. Win-loss, strikeouts, ERA, whip, hold, saves, and quality start. Wow, win-loss and quality. Wow. All right. Should he pick up Detmers, you would drop Logan Allen.
Well, I'll say you can drop Logan Allen for sure. I mean, just no question asked there. Detmers is somebody who has really, really fallen hard back to earth. I think we're going to need to wait and see what happens because he's now hit the skids. It's 4 straight bad starts. So yeah, let's see what's going on with Detmers because as good as he was in the beginning of the season, that's how bad he's been lately. I mean, generally, I would say, yeah, deep league like this, you want him, but not if he's going to hurt your team.
All right, our Holmes wants to know what's going on with Kim. He's been sold and now possibly injured. Looking at replacing with Stott.
I think Stott will be a solid replacement. What's going on? I mean, I don't know. He's just not hitting well lately. As far as being hurt, I have not heard anything about that. So I don't know. I think Kim will eventually be fine. He's not somebody I would want to drop. If he's hurt, I don't know. That must have just happened. So if he does land on that L, I guess that's good because then you can pick up Stott. I think Stott's a good replacement.
All right, James Coffey again in a Roto League. Your preference rest of season on the hitting side, Max Muncy or Austin Riley?
Definitely Austin Riley. Like I know Riley has started out cold, but he's one of those guys who don't question it. He's a stud. Muncy might get you pretty equivalent power numbers, but Riley should definitely hit for better average. I mean, yeah, it's definitely Riley.
All right, definitely Riley. And how about a definite big boy trade? Mookie Betts or Aaron Judge and Corbin Burns? Which side you got?
And Corbin Burns? Yeah, that's a win. I mean, I know it hurts to trade Mookie, but you just got a stud hitter and an ace. I think that's got to be a win. I think Judge will come around. I put my panic level on him. What was it? Was it like a 4 thing? I don't know. Not overly concerned.
It was low.
Look, this is a good bait. I'm surprised somebody gave up Burns, to be honest. So yeah, I think I'll give you the dub.
All right, good job. Tristram, what's your take on Jose Soriano? So far, so good. Are you holding or moving on? I know you talked about him in the 2-start streamer this week, so I assume you're at least holding on for this week.
Well, there you go. I was gonna say, just broke down Soriano in the video that came out. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? Just came out. Yeah, I think he's got some potential. Him, obviously, he's going to be one of those risky pitchers that if you put in your lineup, you don't really know what you're getting. But you're in an AL only league, you need upside. I'm rolling him out this week and see what happens.
All right. And then Charles again does not know what to do with Imanaga. You selling high or are you keeping him?
I'm keeping. He's legit, real deal. Sell high. I mean, look, you can get Mookie Betts for him. Okay, fine. I'll do that. Somebody's like, man, this Acuna guy has really been disappointing. I thought he was the best player in baseball. Okay, fine. I'll take him. But I would, in general, hold. I mean, sell high only if it's super high, like crazy high. But for the most part, I'm just going to keep him.
All right, and then how about this? DJ Andre. Are you buying into the Chris Paddock bounce back season?
Well, I am buying him as a 2-start streamer this week, as I mentioned on the same video. Am I completely buying into Paddock? Not yet. Because again, we think bounce back, but bounce back to what? I mean, his rookie season where he was pretty good for like, a month or two. And, I mean, what have we really seen from Chris Paddock? That it was like, this is what I don't know. I'm not sure what we're getting from Chris Paddock, to be honest, but I'll buy into him for now.
There you go. For now. All right, M. Perez, rest of season Roto League. You want Vaughn Grissom or Zach Geloff?
I'll go Grissom. I'm obviously a big believer, a fan of Grissom since preseason. Gonna take some time coming back from injury, getting to the swing of things. So I will go Grissom.
All right. Thank you for that. Rafael Horace. He wants to drop Pajas for either Rooker or Brian De La Cruz. Are you dropping Pajas for either of those guys?
Well, I mean, Rooker and De La Cruz have been hot lately, so I understand this, and Pajas is cooling down. I still don't think I want to drop him, though. I mean, at the very least, he's got value. I think you could maybe try to trade him if you really want to. I don't know why you want to drop him. I get it. This last week he hasn't been great. Doesn't mean that he's, done being good. Rooker, just keep in mind, last year there was a stretch where Brent Rooker was really good, one of the best hitters in, I want to say it was like May or something. He was on fire, and then he fell back to earth pretty hard. It's going to happen, right? Rooker is not going to be an MVP of the AL. So I'm not going to drop Pajas right now.
All right, don't drop Pajas. Another pretty big trade here. Tim, Sal Perez or Grayson Rodriguez?
Well, all right, Tim, if you're doing this, I'm assuming you have another catcher you could put instead of Sal. Look, Perez has been great. You know this, right? He's been basically your best hitter this year.
Yes.
I would take a chance on Grayson because he's been good until he got hurt. He's coming back. He'll be fine. I just think it's just so valuable having that frontline pitcher. So I would do this. I would get Grayson. Again, assuming you have a catcher you can replace and that you obviously need a pitching.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I would do this too and just go grab a catcher. For as good as Perez has been, having that pitcher like Grayson seems worth it. All right. Requiem for a Dream. Drop Wilyer Abreu to pick up Schneider, Taveras, or Pham. Or none of the above.
Yeah, you can drop Abreu. I mean, he has a little hot week, but it's done. Like, Taveras has been pretty hot lately, but I think I still like Pham. Pham's leading off, whereas Taveras hits ninth. Pham is hitting for average. Taveras is kind of hitting for average right now, but he won't. And he's not even stealing bases. That's supposed to be his main asset. So I would drop Abreu to pick up Pham.
All right. And then Charles wants to know, in a redraft league, are you trading Skenes? Now, I know we talked about this on Wednesday when he was getting called up, that like this is as hypey as he'll be. And I don't know if I don't think the helium completely came out of the balloon on yesterday. Like, it wasn't like he was awful and was throwing the ball. You couldn't find the strike zone. I'm sure the hype is still there. So are you still on the trade him while the hype is there? Or are you like, well, maybe now we want to hold him because I was encouraged by what I saw?
It always depends. Trade him for what? Like, what are you going to get? What are you getting?
Sure.
Sell high if you can sell high. At this point right now, with the hype, with the potential, right? Well, you see a rookie who just came up. All we see is the potential, the awards, the glory, this is the best pitcher in baseball pretty soon. If you're trading him, you should get something pretty significant back. So, like, would I trade him for a Grayson Rodriguez? Yes, I would do that. Would I trade him for a pitcher less than that, or some guy who's like good so far, but is probably overachieving and just kind of had a good start to the season? And then again, I'm talking strictly pitchers here, like a Ron here Suarez. No, I would rather keep Skenes. If you need offense desperately, if you need a power hitter or something like that, you could trade Skenes, but it better be a good hitter. So only trade if you're really getting comparable value.
All right. Well, speaking of that, let's throw some names out here. Let's start at pitcher: Skenes or Justin Verlander.
Ooh, that's a tough one off the bat. I think I'd stick with Skenes.
All right. How about Skenes or a guy who's been pretty good, Michael King?
Thing is, like with Skenes, you're getting strikeouts, right? You're getting strikeouts for sure. Wins are very questionable, but he's going to help you strikeouts. He's probably not going to get lit. Like, I would need some sort of advantage with a pitcher that they could give me over Skenes. Is King going to be that kind of guy? I don't think so. I think I'd rather keep Skenes because I feel like I could get more than that.
All right. How about teammate on teammate violence? Skenes or Jared Jones?
Wow. I mean, Jared Jones has been great, but is he going to be better than Skenes? Are you getting an advantage either way? I mean, they're on the same team, same context, same opportunity for wins, and I think I would keep Skenes.
All right, let's do some hitters now. Maybe some guys that are struggling. Skenes or Vlad?
I'm gonna go Vlad. I feel like Vlad's a buy low.
Skenes or Lindor?
You can see how this is gonna go for me. I would say Lindor.
Skenes or Carroll?
Carroll,
definitely. Okay, we'll do one more here. I don't want to just keep picking guys on my team that aren't very good. All right, how about one more? Skenes. I feel like all these guys, like Skenes or Devers, another underperforming guy. How about Skenes or Matt Olson, who's also been struggling?
Gonna go Matt Olson. See, when you get those stud hitters, those are all should be fantasy studs, all underperforming. I'm gonna go with the hitters, but when you talk about Skenes versus another pitcher, probably gonna go Skenes more often than not, unless it's somebody who's like really top tier kind of thing.
Okay. One more. We'll do one more then. Skenes or Bo Bichette?
Okay, I'll go Skenes there.
All right, there you go. So there's the line. All right. All right, another Evan Carter question. Luis wants to know, should he drop Evan Carter or Woo? He can pick up Brian De La Cruz, Jazz, or Rooker.
I still, it's mind-boggling. People are dropping Jazz Chisholm. Drop Evan Carter and pick up Jazz.
All right, there you go. You did talk about John Singleton on the waiver wire. Worth taking a chance on.
Yeah, well, clearly I'm in the camp of yes on Singleton. Not going to give you much average, but he's got some power. He's in a good lineup, some opportunities. So yeah, I don't think there's a sky high ceiling with Singleton, but I think it's worth it if you need some pop.
All right, and then Perez again. Are you just starting Christian Scott, no matter the opponent?
No, I'm not blindly starting a rookie pitcher, regardless of opponent, for the most part, in any context. But with Scott, I also do wonder how long is he going to be in that rotation once they start getting pieces back. So yeah, I mean, he was encouraging. His first start was good. He struck out batters. But I wouldn't say no matter the opponent. But for the most part, it would have to be a team like the Braves, Dodgers, one of those to scare me off of him.
All right. And then Harry Grossman. What's up, Harry? He's looking for another closer. Did you drop Foley for Kopech?
No, I'm not going to buy into that White Sox situation. Kopech has gotten a couple saves, but he could implode very easily. So, no, looking for another closer. I mean, you have some. Well, okay, the obvious pick right now is in Milwaukee, McGill. I guess he is the closer now, at least 4 now. So pick up McGill. Make sure you get the Milwaukee one, not the New York Met one. It's Trevor McGill. And some people asked last week, remember, like, is Daniel Hudson the closer now? I was like, nah. Evan Phillips did hit the IL, but it's not just Hudson. They got Blake Trainin back. He might get used. They have who else? Not Gratterall. There's somebody else that they had who picked up a save. I mean, it's not just going to be Hudson. It's not just one guy. And Phillips won't be gone too long. So I'm not looking to LA. So I would say McGill should be out there in most leagues. Any others? I mean, I don't know who else is available on your waiver wire. Probably not too many closers. Yenier Cano of Baltimore, if he's available, because Kimbrel has been rough lately. So I would say you can look to him. And maybe Fairbanks was dropped in some leagues. He just came off the IL, but some people are just kind of tired of him. If Fairbanks is out there, I'll pick him up.
All right, there you go. There's some closer options for you. And then Raphael again. Would you trade Dylan Cease for a good hitter, maybe a Josh Naylor type? He needs more power and RBIs.
I actually like Cease enough to hold him now. I wasn't huge on him before the season, but of course that's when I thought he was going to be a White Sox still, not the Padres. He's been really good. He's in a much better situation. I like Dylan Cease this year. I think he's going to finish as a top 10 starting pitcher. So I think you need a better hitter. Like, if you can do this to get a buy low for Matt Olson, then yes. But man, I'd rather not trade Dylan Cease.
All right, so either shoot higher or don't do it. All right, Requiem for a Dream again is in a holds league. Is he better off dropping Chapman, who keeps giving up runs, for someone like Adams from Oakland?
Yes. Yes, you are. Adams. I was big on Chapman. He's been pretty inconsistent. Holds you can get from a lot of sources. Adams has got a ton of holds. I think he's like up to 11 this season. So yeah, go for Adams. It's, again, the boring veterans are sometimes better. And I know Chapman is definitely a veteran, but he's definitely not boring either. So sometimes boring is better for your bullpen. A guy like Jojo Romero in St. Louis is quietly being really good. There's a lot of different options you can get without the headache of, is he going to, give up a home run today? Is he going to, give up runs? They're not supposed to give up runs. They come in for one inning. It's like the 6th or 7th inning. You're not supposed to give up runs, right? Just a guy who is boring and gets you a hold, and that's it. So yes.
All right. And then I guess we're coming up on the hour, so we'll end with this. Florida Mad Dog does not like my trade. Joined the stream late, but J-Rod for Chisholm and Lowe, yikes. Congrats to the J-Rod recipient. Not big on J-Rod, but he's bigger than those two. All right, well, it is.
Which is ironic because both Chisholm and Lowe are Florida teams, right? You got Miami, Tampa there. So that's what makes you a Mad Dog.
We'll see. I just glad to have him off my team, to be honest.
There you go.
A month and a half of 0 for 5s. I'm good riddance.
All right, we'll see.
All right, guys. Well, I think that'll do it. We're all caught up on the comments. We're a little over an hour here. Appreciate everybody being on, especially since it's Mother's Day. Hopefully you didn't take away time from your mom or your wives or anything, and you're not in trouble now, but we appreciate you being on here. Don't forget, we'll be back on Wednesday doing this again. Also, don't forget, if you haven't tried Underdog yet, there's still time to get those picks in. Go to Underdog Fantasy, sign up a promo code Endgame, and you'll get access to a special pick plus up to $250 in bonus cash that you can use right away. You don't have to use a certain amount of picks or whatever like a lot of sports betting sites do. Nope, you can use it right away. So go check that out. Yeah, we'll be back Wednesday. And don't forget tomorrow, Panic video, beat the breakouts, buy low, all that stuff coming up this week. So make sure you check that out. Subscribe, like if you haven't already, and we'll see you guys back here on Wednesday.